Welcome to Hotel Leaders, hosted by Peter Demore. With over 25 years in the hotel industry, as a manager, educator, entrepreneur, and now an independent voice, he brings a balanced and insightful perspective on the world's greatest hotels. It's time to check in.
There are mountain hotels that are beautiful, and then there are mountain hotels that become a national icon. Fairmont Château Lake Louise is one of the defining Grand Railway hotel stories of Canada, a property that takes an almost impossible setting and turns it into something you can actually inhabit, sleep beside it, dine beside it, and wake up to it without ever needing to go see the lake. I was fortunate to visit this hotel recently, and I would say that the best hotels don't compete with nature. They choreograph your access to it. Lake Louise sits inside Banff National Park in Alberta, and that matters immediately. This isn't a hotel that can expand in the normal way or pave its way out of constraints. Everything here is shaped by a protected place, a fragile ecosystem, and the reality that the environment is the star. The hotel is positioned right on the eastern shore of Lake Louise, with Victoria Glacier rising behind it, which turns the simplest guest decision into a high-stakes choice. Lake view versus mountain view, sunrise versus dusk, winter ice versus summer turquoise. Strategically, this location creates a rare kind of luxury. You can offer guests the feeling of remote wilderness while still delivering a full-scale resort operation, multiple restaurants, concierge programming, spa facilities, guided experiences, all within a controlled footprint. And there's another angle. This region is a global media magnet. Lake Louise is used for live broadcasts and filming, and the chateau itself is repeatedly described as a quintessential Canadian backdrop that can support real production needs on site. The origin of the Château Lake Louise is inseparable from the Canadian Pacific Railway story. A key starting point is 1890, when Canadian Pacific Railway leadership commissioned a simple log structure on the lakeshore, essentially a foothold for early visitors and rail travellers, the seed that later grew into the Grand Hotel. The strategic idea is classic railway hotel logic. You don't just build transportation, you build reasons to travel. And Lake Louise was the ultimate reason, an unreal landscape that could become part of a national identity and a global tourism dream. And if you're tracking the Fairmont story with me, this is the perfect companion to our Fairmont Banff Springs episode. Both are born from the same Canadian Pacific Railway playbook. Build the journey, then build the destination. But the strategic purpose diverges. Banff Springs became the Castle Hub, a year-round social and events engine. Lake Louise became the postcard anchor, a landscape experience so iconic that the hotel's job is simply to choreograph access to it. Same founder logic, different operating rhythm. From there, the hotel evolved through waves of ambition, more rooms, more public spaces, more ability to host visitors at scale. And what's important is the property wasn't meant to be a small lodge. It was meant to be a destination engine, the kind of place that justifies the journey. To understand why it still matters today, we need the timeline, the turning points that shaped the building you see now. Before we go into leadership, one sentence. This hotel is operationally hard. A property on the edge of a glacier-fed lake inside a national park is a daily negotiation between luxury standards and environmental realities, weather volatility, seasonal demand spikes, preservation constraints, logistics, staffing, and guest expectations that are extremely high because the place is iconic. The current general manager is Tracy Lowe. What's notable about her background is how well it matches this assignment. Public profiles describe 25 plus years of international hospitality experience, including postings across multiple global markets and prior experience connected to the chateau itself. The kind of arc you'd want for a property that has to balance brand standards, local park constraints, and a global guest profile. A GM here isn't just running a hotel. They're running an ecosystem, protecting the guest experience under extreme seasonality, coordinating multiple dining and lounge venues, keeping rooms consistent while reinvesting in a live operating building, and making sure the hotel can deliver both heritage romance and modern expectations without friction. And this matters because the chateau is actively evolving. Ownership materials describe ongoing work across multiple years, guest room renovations, food and beverage reinvention, and the development of a major thermal/wellness concept on site. That kind of multi-year reinvestment requires leadership that can keep daily operations calm while the property upgrades itself. The leadership challenge is keeping guest calm while renovations happen in a live building, staging work in phases so the lake-facing magic never feels disrupted. Let's hear a snippet from the head sommelier, Salvador Lopez, courtesy of the Fairmont Château Lake Louise YouTube channel.
I'm Salvador Lopez, head sommelier at Fairmont Château Lake Louise. And for me, wine is not just a drink. It's a centuries-old love story. And I'm here to share those stories. My journey began in Spain, when wine is a kind of a daily life, it's kind of a member of the family. So from there, I have explored the whole Europe, most of the best vineyards in Europe, from Tuscany to Burgundy, from Champagne to Rioja, Portugal. Some may say it's obsession, but in my case, I could call it just simply love, a love at first sip. Well, here the Chateau is not just about tasting notes and vintages. It's about connecting with tradition, people, and bold reinvention. With over 500 labels, our wine program honors classic Bordeaux, brilliant Burgundies, powerful Californians. So for me, wine is living poetry, sparking laughter, memories, even leaving you speechless sometimes. So here at Château Lake Louise, every sip is a story waiting to unfold. So thank you for joining us in this journey, and here to love, memories, stories.
Next, let's walk inside, because this lobby isn't just decor, it's a framing device for the lake. Arrival at Fairmont Château Lake Louise is the opposite of a city hotel arrival. You don't arrive into noise and traffic, you arrive into scale and silence. And the hotel's job is to convert that scale into calm, not intimidation. The first 3 minutes are choreographed. A steady greeting that slows your pace. A gentle orientation to the building, because it's a large resort and you need to feel held, not lost. And, crucially, the first framed encounter with the lake, the glacier, the light. This is a hotel where first impression is a psychological switch from travel mode to landscape mode. Think canoes cutting through turquoise water. And because the chateau is such a recognizable broadcast and filming location, it also has a second kind of lobby performance. It can host media moments and still maintain guest calm. A difficult operational balance in a place where the view is public, but the guest experience must feel private. Here's a fact that tells you what this hotel really is. It has 539 rooms and suites. That's not a tiny lodge. It's a full-scale destination resort, which means the product has to deliver two things at once: romance and intimacy for once-in-a-lifetime guests, and consistency at volume, day after day. At the entry level, the most affordable starting point is the Fairmont room, the classic base camp room in the main wing, with straightforward comfort and resort access. On typical dates, standard rooms start at $850 up to $3,000 per night, depending on the season and demand. In plain English, the affordable version of this hotel still isn't cheap, but what you're really paying for is the setting and the ability to live right on the lake. Now, as you climb the ladder, what changes is simple: views of the lake and glacier. Space increases as you enter access to suites, and control with private check-in, lounge access, and a calmer rhythm via Fairmont Gold. A very popular step-up is the Fairmont Lakeview room category. Same idea, but now you're buying the postcard. Lake Louise and Victoria Glacier as the first thing you see. At the top end, the most expensive inventory is the Fairmont Gold Suite and Signature Suite World. This is where the hotel becomes residence-like, and the stay becomes more private and more managed. Think suites such as Belvedere Suite, Glacier Suite, Fairview Suite, and Tom Wilson Suite, all positioned as signature suites with major views and Fairmont Gold privileges. What do these cost? It varies wildly with season and availability, but third-party rate aggregators show top-end suite pricing sometimes appearing up to around $5,500 per night. And historically, the hotel has attracted media attention for ultra-high suite rates. For example, a well-known past write-up cited $12,000 per night for the Marquise de Lorne suite. And in a landscape hotel like this, the best rooms don't just give you features, they give you time. Sunrise before the crowds and evening calm after the day visitors leave. At Château Lake Louise, food and beverage isn't just where you eat. It's how the hotel controls the guest rhythm, especially when the outdoors sets the agenda. The resort's main outlets include Lakeview Lounge and Patio, the iconic lobby lounge with the famous Glacier and Lakeview built for cocktails, shared plates, and that sit and stare moment. Fairview Bar and Restaurant, a grand bar and dining room with arched windows framing the lake. It's positioned as a more formal evening anchor. Walliser-Stube, an intimate alpine venue known for Swiss-style dishes and fondue, and it's a strong winter ritual space. Louisa, a newer restaurant concept, positioned as the newest restaurant on the hotel's own dining page. Alpine Social, a casual, social-style outlet listed among the dining venues. The Guide's Pantry, a 24-hour grab-and-go pantry for coffee, pastries, sandwiches, and snacks. This is available to non-hotel guests. Seasonal Ice Bar, operating mid-December to mid-April, designed as a winter spectacle moment. Now, an important operational note for viewers. The hotel is not an open public resort in the way a city hotel might be. Lake Louise is public land, but during busy periods, access to parts of the property can be more controlled. And someday, visitors report that certain areas and even some service points can be restricted to registered guests or reservation holders at peak times. And at the premium end, Fairmont Gold is explicitly a hotel within a hotel. Private check-in and exclusive lounge access for Gold guests only. That part is not for day visitors. So the practical takeaway is, non-overnight guests can often access specific restaurants and public areas, but the hotel actively manages flow And the best way to experience the dining outlets is to have a booking. And this property isn't just leisure. It's a serious events and functions hotel. The showpiece is the historic ballroom space, described by the hotel as debuting in 1913 and restored to its original grandeur, with walls of windows, chandeliers, fireplaces, and capacity of up to 400 for meetings and banquets. On top of that, there are multiple meeting venues like the Pipestone Room, designed for corporate groups and weddings, the kind of infrastructure that lets the chateau host large gatherings without breaking the guest experience for everyone else. In other words, the dining venues feed the romance, but they also support the machine. This is a resort that has to serve hikers, honeymooners, conference groups, and wedding weekends, all at the same time in a protected national park. Facilities at Lake Louise are not about amenity lists. They're about recovery, because the guest stay here is physical. Hiking, canoeing, skiing, skating, long walks, cold air. The hotel's job is to create restoration without making it feel clinical. Here is wellness retreat facilitator Kathy Parsons.
For many years, I was on a perfectionist treadmill, and I was constantly striving for perfection and striving to reach the next goal, never feeling fully at ease or satisfied when I got there. Yoga came into my life and gave me little moments of peace. And once I felt that, I began to really want to explore it more. And that led me to my first wellness retreat as a guest. I fell in love with this way of travel, this way of connecting with myself and with other people. So much so that after a dozen retreats, I decided to leave my corporate job, become a yoga teacher, and to provide these really unique and special experiences for other people. And I can say with confidence that the Lake Louise retreats are truly exceptional. To be able to explore the practice in this beautiful place while at the same time being pampered in Fairmont luxury is a one-of-a-kind experience.
And this is where the modern strategy becomes very clear. The chateau is leaning into wellness as destination, not wellness as an add-on. That matters because it changes the guest rhythm. It gives you a reason to stay longer, to book shoulder seasons, to come back when you're not just chasing summer turquoise or winter snow. Here is globally acclaimed sauna innovator Lasse Eriksson.
This is a sacred space. It's the only space where you connect with all the elements at one time. We slowly heat you up to a presence where it becomes difficult for you to think of anything else in your life than being present. My name is Lasse Eriksson and I'm from Norway. I am dedicated to sauna and sweat. We always say it's a multi-sensory experience where we use sense like smell. And the power of smell is that it's connected to the limbic system, meaning you immediately go into an emotional state. So we use smells to bring you on journeys. Then we bring in the heat to connect you into this experience of sound and smell. When I use heat, I detach all the other things in your life, which is stressful or not present. So when you're finished to do this session, you will become more awake, you will see the colors in the sky differently, you will see the lake, the beautiful colors of the lake. You'll be more present in the moment you exit the sauna. It gives you a happiness. Either you want it or not, you start to produce hormones that give you happiness. You become softer in your way of being, and you become more attentive. And then that's the steam of life.
Now let's talk culture, because running a large mountain resort is a staffing and training masterpiece when it's done well. If you work at Fairmont Château Lake Louise, you're not simply delivering service, you're delivering consistency inside an unpredictable environment. The people who thrive here tend to share a profile: calm under pressure, detail-driven, and emotionally intelligent. You need the discipline to execute standards, and the warmth to make them feel natural. Training is layered. Technical hotel mastery, storytelling to respond to guest queries, and mentorship. In a property this large, the service signature is not one line, it's a pattern. Arrivals that feel smooth even during peak season. Guidance that feels like expertise, not instruction. Problem solving that happens quietly. And there's an important cultural point. This is a hotel where many guests arrive with a mental image of perfection. Staff training has to manage those expectations, not by overpromising, but by delivering calm competence. Fairmont Château Lake Louise has a very specific kind of celebrity history. It's not a party hotel, it's a landscape hotel, which means famous guests come here for two reasons: privacy and awe. The classic guest book, publicly reported. This property has long been associated with major cultural figures, including Mary Pickford and Douglas Fairbanks, and later names like Alfred Hitchcock, Marilyn Monroe, and Christopher Reeve. There's also a royal layer to the lore. Historic Hotels notes that Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip are among the royals who have visited. Historic Hotels also frames Lake Louise as a kind of early Hollywood North, noting that early films were shot in the area with stars such as John Barrymore, Betty Grable, and Carmen Miranda. That matters because it's a different kind of celebrity proof. The setting was so definitive that the location itself became cinematic currency. In the current era, celebrity visibility shows up as documented stays and public posts. In summer 2024, actor Bryan Cranston and his wife Robin were publicly reported as staying at Fairmont Château Lake Louise as part of an Alberta anniversary trip. Cranston even wrote that arriving at Lake Louise took our breath away, and he specifically mentioned the canoe ride across the lake being peaceful and serene, which is basically the chateau guest experience in 2 sentences. More recently, Justin Bieber and Hailey Bieber were publicly reported as taking a private lakeside getaway at the property, sharing moments from the trip on Instagram, canoeing and lakeside time featured. The takeaway isn't the name list, it's what the pattern signals. This is a hotel that functions as a high-trust container for public lives, where the celebrity feature is not spectacle, it's discretion, control, and the landscape doing the talking. In other words, this is where famous people come when they don't want the hotel to be part of the story. Awards matter in luxury hotels because they're not just trophies. They're proof the experience is repeatable, year after year, across changing teams, seasons, and guest expectations. And Fairmont Château Lake Louise has that kind of track record. Over the last decade, you see a consistent pattern in the biggest global reader vote platforms. Travel Plus Leisure repeatedly ranked the property in its top 10 best resorts in Canada, including number 5 in 2020, number 6 in 2021, and 2022. That matters because those lists are driven by guests who actually stay, not just critics. Then there's Condé Nast Traveller, another huge signal in luxury. The Chateau placed in the Reader's Choice Awards in multiple years, including number 6 in 2021 and number 8 in both 2022 and 2023. That's the kind of consistency that tells you the brand hasn't drifted. Now, the modern stamp that really jumps out is Michelin. The hotel was awarded 1 Michelin key in 2024 and again in 2025. That's a powerful global luxury signal, and it's still new enough that it carries real momentum. On the operational side, where the hotel industry gets serious, the Chateau keeps showing up on sustainability and standards. It held a 5 Green Key Eco rating in 2023, 2024, and 2025. Those are hard to maintain over time because they require systems, not marketing. And for food and beverage credibility, Wine Spectator consistently recognised the program, including awards for venues like the Fairview Restaurant and Bar and Walliser Stuba, with notable wins in 2018, 2019, and ongoing recognition through 2023 to 2025. That's not just nice wine. That's a signal that the operation is holding at a high level. Finally, the US news rankings reinforce the same story. The Chateau earned repeated badge recognition, including number 3 Best Hotel in Alberta in 2025, number 2 Best Hotel in Banff in 2024 and 2025, and top resort placements like number 3 Best Resort in Canada in 2023. So when you step back, the awards tell a very clear story. The view gets you in the door, but it's the operation that keeps the Chateau on these lists, year after year. Fairmont Château Lake Louise is iconic because it turns one of the world's most famous landscapes into something you can live inside, with systems that make wilderness feel safe, comfortable, and effortless. Here's the hotel leader's verdict. The Chateau doesn't sell rooms. It sells access to a landscape that most people only ever see for a moment, framed from a parking lot. And the leadership lesson is simple. The best hotels don't compete with the destination. They choreograph it, one calm detail at a time.
Thank you for joining today's episode. If you enjoyed it, the best way to show your appreciation is to follow the podcast so that you never miss our monthly episodes. Farewell, until the next time that you check in to Hotel Leaders.